Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Iowa Speedway, where the OSCA Series takes us this weekend to the beautiful corn-fed country, where we'll be racing here at Iowa, 7/8 of a mile around the track, compliments of Rusty Wallace. My name's Trevor McNeil, of course, alongside me, Carlos Acosta, chiming in once in a while. We'll have Vic Bloom, the owner of this one, but tonight we are in for our second-to-last race of the 2024 A season, where things are starting to get a little spicy at the top of the point standings. And after all we saw last week at the road course, a few cars going to the moon, visiting the birds in the trees at the end. We take a look at the standings. As I mentioned right there, Austin Beer still holding on to that first spot overall, but Ryan Gavel did close the gap a little bit there, bringing it down to 18 points after last week's performance. Of course, Matt Hackathorn, one of those victims there that did see and meet the trees at the end of the last race. Vincent Isabella is the big story out of that one after not racing at Summit Point, did drop down into 9th position, and I believe is on the call sheet for tonight. So should make up some of those points lost out of that performance. But of course, on the right side, you see the team standings, and Shift Esports right now a point shy of the turn of 2000, a little Y2K that Shift Esports is looking for tonight, and in the driver's seat, in control of their own destiny. And after looking at what we're seeing here, Carlos, I at least have to ask, due to your experience and due to you seeing what these drivers have done in the past, do you think we're going to see a lot of shuffling of the points after tonight's race?
No, I don't think so. I think the top contenders that we're seeing now in the points are probably going to be the top contenders battling in these last two remaining racetracks and these last four remaining races. So I'm not expecting to see too much controversy here tonight in Iowa, but I do expect to see some fun, exciting racing.
Exciting racing, name of the game, much more exciting than the horizon of the viewscape of Iowa, because let's be honest, there's nothing to look at in that state. I live far too close to it, and I know that there's nothing good out there. I guess the Speedway is going to have to do for us tonight, but of course, as I mentioned here at Iowa Speedway, the Binx Designs 114, we're going to have two 57-lap halves, cut it right down the middle, and of course, not really too worried about gasoline here tonight. Wouldn't have any fuel stops necessarily, but all the drivers are allocated a set of tires per half. We'll see if anybody does have any strategic implementation that they're going to have with getting a fresh set of tires at some point, as we see here in qualifying. It is open qualifying for the most of them, and we'll see what it's really going to look like here up on the intervals, because that's where I'm starting to look at. You look at number 2, number 3 right now. That is the two drivers at the front of the pack for the championship, Austin Beers and Ryan Gavel, both virtually running the same lap splits right now. So once we get a little further into this one, we'll see if that's going to maintain, if we're going to see these drivers up at the front, which really wouldn't be surprised too much to see them battling it out once again, especially after how close and honestly great race last week. If you missed it, go back to the VODs, watch it. I can't recommend it enough. It was a thrilling race start to finish. But Binx Designs 114 couldn't put it together without Binx Designs. Of course, they are a local New Jersey graphic design company that specializes in all of your custom apparel and tumbler needs. You can check out their website at binxdesigns.myshopify.com. As we get into some more points, you look at the standings right there for the talent, the production crew, and of course the owner. I didn't turn in half my picks, so that's my excuse. That's why I'm sitting so low. But you know what? I do remember vaguely at the beginning of the season, Carlos, you were saying you were giving everybody a head start, and what happened, buddy?
I don't know. I don't know. The first week was definitely me trying to give you guys a bit of a head start. You know, it's also Daytona,
Sure.
so an accident happens. I'm not going to stress out too much. And then good legitimate picks that I had just collapsed. They either were involved in incidents or made rare mistakes every time I picked them. I've only had, I think, one weekend where I had two good picks. Every other time, it's always been one good pick and one bad pick, or two bad picks. So, it's funny because the first two times I won this thing, back to back, may I add, I was barely even trying. I was just making what I thought, average picks. This time I'm trying to go for the three-peat. I'm serious about it. I'm doing my research. I'm looking at analytics, and boom, it is the worst performance I've ever done.
Yeah, I feel that, because I feel like the pick that I've made, I've done the best when I wasn't here when I was doing the remote satellite picks. There was other people commentating, and I was at work, and I'm like, hey, here's my picks. And then they actually did really well. But when I am here, and I look at the numbers, and I'm doing all the metrics, I agree. My picks have been subpar. We'll say that. Last week, I gave it to a chance wheel, and it gave me, I think, Adam Peeler for the first half. And that, I think he got like 15th or something, which was better than 25th, but it's not a top 5 finish that I probably might have been able to get. I don't know.
Well, I think it's time for us to make some picks. And Vic, I think Vic is here with... well, hello, Vic. How are you doing?
Hi. Trevor, you're first.
He asked you how you were doing, and you just said, hi, you're first?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take the 73. I think I still have him for the first half. I think Kynan Jones is available for me, so I'm going to take him.
Alrighty. Carlos, you're up next, because Cherry didn't give me any picks. So.
Oh, come on, Cherry. Well, I got a good feeling. I can pick another driver that's a little bit faster right now, but I have a feeling. Number me find 6, Zach Evans. He's going to have himself a great half one.
Oh boy, howdy. Am I ever glad you picked him. The drivers unanimously, they all decided that they want to use up the 00 for this, which I can't blame them. Caden Tuff's short track guy. He should do pretty well here. Granted, this is not entirely a short track, but that's not the point. I'm going to go for the guy in a car that doesn't have any green on it this week. I think that dropping the green from the car is going to be a good luck charm for him. I'm going to go Bojo in the number 7.
Okay. Well,
I will grab Goody.
Of course, the leader who is driving tonight.
Yes. There we go. Goody, who's your pick for half one?
Is
first of all, Goody, how are you doing today?
Not too bad. How about yourself, Carlos?
I'm doing
Good to
all
hear your
right.
voice.
Doing good to hear yours.
Yeah.
Yes, Goody. You can have Mr.
Awesome.
Beers.
Mr. Beers. All right, I'll take him. Might as well use him.
Ironically enough, none of us could have picked him anyway.
Oof.
You were the only one with a pick left for Beers.
See, that's why I saved him for just this moment.
Good luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, shout out to you, Vic, for the car. I did add the big JD's logo, but
yeah, I saw that.
When I wreck it, everyone watching, think of Vic for that beautiful Gulf Scheme race car that Dusty drove in the throwback race. So, thanks, Vic.
Oh. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah.
The picks are in. And hopefully that pays off. But yeah, of course, you mentioned that everybody else and their mother has picked Austin Beers at some point through the race. That is a red line across the pick sheet. So nobody would have been so lucky other than Goody, which, of course, I feel like that's kind of a cheat code with the guy in first place gets the guy that's currently winning the championship standings. So some collusion there. I would like to be so brave as to accuse. Qualifying's wrapping up here, minute and a half to go, a few laps left. It looks like everybody seems to be relatively content with where they're standing at. Only a handful of cars still out here on the track turning laps in. Right now, it is that 17 car that is still up top. Still holding on to. And,
we got plenty of time. I want to thank Weekend Woodsmen for sponsoring this season's. I want to thank them. Shout out to them. They have given us a commercial to play, so we're going to quickly play that, and we'll be right back to finish up the rest of qualifying.
Be sure to check out Tim Mayo Conrad and the Weekend Woodsman crew on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button to get notifications when a new video drops, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy the race.
Of course, big shout out to the Weekend Woodsman here in, of course, the Weekend Woodsman series at the Binx Design 114 as qualifying is wrapping up. You see a lot of cars, like I said, just cashing in, cashing out where they're at right now. We'll get the starting grid here in a couple of moments, but for the time being, of course, all compliments given to everyone that puts this together, the Weekend Woodsman, Binx Designs, and of course, 3Y TV, where you are watching this currently. We are in our second to last race here in the 2024 A season. course, next week being the grand finale. You want to give me a reminder on where that race is at?
Old Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta. Oh, old Atlanta even. Oh, okay, that'll make things even more interesting. So tune in next week for sure to watch that one, and we'll see who we crown our champion of the OSCA series. As we get ready for one more, we'll look at the starting lineup here. Starting in that first place, 17, Miller Beers right behind. Ryan Gabble in the 1. McIntosh starting out in 4th place in the 95 car. Been a quiet runner here over the season. Garcia in that 57 has been up towards the front more than a handful of times. Tristan Millette filling in here for the 29 car, driving this time around. Jake Scarborough is back after we saw a substitute last week, Daniel Gore, who swept Summit Point. Of course, the Me Fine Machine, Zach Evans, sporting that powder blue, disgusting, of North Carolina. There is Kinda Jones in the 73, with Ray Bracey rounding out the top 10.
Yep, in 11th place, we have Dylan Thomas with Gilberto Javier Gomera qualifying in that 12th place position. 13th is going to be seeing the 0-0, the driver's pick, Caden Tubbs, with Mr. Robert Hill Jr. in 14th positions. 15th will be David Westergreen, and right outside of him in 16th place is going to be Kyle A. Carlson. Vincent Isabella and Thomas Capuano are going to be qualifying tonight's race, half one in 17th and 18th position. Tim Conrad and Mr. Goody, Mike Goodman Jr. qualifying 19th and 20th.
Going to round out the rest of the field here. Neil Rutt in the double 6 in 21st. Adam Peeler starting out in 22nd, driving that 27, the Army Green car. Mr. Carpenter there in 23rd. And Matt Hackathorn starting out in 24th. After almost having a great performance there at the end of the race last week. Unfortunately, just to the moon. Watson there in 25th, and of course, Cole's 26th. No time turned in on, and of course, the 2000 ping himself, Jordan Tarble, that 45. We
will not be racing,
see,
unfortunately.
Yeah, don't think that one's going to make. Vic was telling us earlier, every time kept rejoining the session, the ping just kept going up and up and up until it hit 4 digits. So, yeah, don't blame you for not wanting to race on 2,000 plus ping. So we'll try to restart the routers and hopefully better luck next time as we are on the track behind the pace truck, getting ready for the green flag to drop as we are here for the first half of the Binx Designs 114 at Iowa Speedway. Talked about kind of a short track, 7/8 of a mile, kind of reminiscent of the Richmond Motor Speedway style, and will be a very quick one if we stay all green all the way. Very quick laps. These guys are going to be turning out, of course, with it being so close to championship weekend and putting a trophy on somebody's desk. I'm sure there are some people in here that are really itching to cross that checkered line first. And it's primarily going to be those two you see right there at the front, the 19 and the 1. All eyes on those as they are leading the way right now through the championship. Only a handful of points that separate the both of them. Make for very interesting racing here tonight.
Well, pace cars are already getting ready to go into turns 3 and 4. Gonna have ourselves a nice, fun half one. I think it was already mentioned, but it's gonna be essentially a full field in for tonight. As the random number generator hit 28. We have 27 cars in the field. Pace trucks getting ready to pull off. Let's have ourselves a fun half one.
Waiting to hit the restart zone, awaiting the green flag to drop, and we will be underway here for the Binx Design 114, and already off to the races, the 17 and the 19, entering turn 1, holding their lanes. Nobody going too crazy of 3 wides just yet. Everybody holding pretty strong on this one. Outside line getting a little bit here. And that's where we saw a lot of drivers in practice utilizing that outside lane and getting some good speed out of the corners, and that's where Austin Beers will eventually take the lead, take control, and take this pack across the checkered line first for that first lap lead, and will actually get down in front of that bumper of Mr. Miller as he leads him into the back stretch. And now starting to get the first few cars here single file, but starting to fan out towards the middle of the pack where things are going to get very interesting, and hope that everybody is aware of who's on their doors and who's on their bumpers, and make sure you're clear.
Yep, these first 2 laps have been all nice and calm for your top 4 drivers. They're all single file, top 5 now, actually. All the top 6, 7s. I think the first battle, side-by-side battles between Zach Evans and Kind and Jones for the time being, as they're making their way, exiting 3 and 4, but the advantage going to the number 6 of Zach Evans.
Yeah, times are starting to get everybody starting to get into single file here, and we'll see how long that actually lasts. We're all getting these tires warmed up and getting everybody into the position. I believe the conditions for this one was mostly cloudy, so we'll wait for the tires to warm up with the track. As you see already, that number 1 car who was running that outside lane in practice quite a bit, utilized it there in that corner to try to find a new lane, bring some people with him, and hopefully Garcia is going to be the one that does fight as well. But McIntosh is not going to let him get there. He does get the nose all the way up to the bumper. Garcia's going to dive all the way down under, and he's going to be able to clear at least the 1. We'll see if it can maintain coming out of that one, and doesn't quite have it. That outside lane has just enough speed that will leave Ryan Gavel in 4th, with Garcia hunting for that 5th spot.
Got on board here with the virtual camera. The camera strapped to the roof, to the helmet of James Miller, as he's battling right now, trying to get that race lead from Austin Beers.
Qualified up on the pole and has been looking at the back bumper of Austin Beers, where so many drivers have found themselves so many times across this season. Of course, leading the way in the championship standings right now. Still playing this one out pretty safe. A lot of the drivers very early on have been giving a lot of room to each other, being very cognizant of who's around them and knowing that this is a track where the space can all of a sudden consolidate very quickly. So they're respectful off the rip for this one, as everybody's starting to get a feel for the competition and see what the mentality is for a lot of these guys. And I think a lot of it is going to be a lot of just sit back and wait. Don't do anything too aggressive, too ambitious just yet. 57 laps, still got 50 to go here in this first half. A lot of race ahead of you. You don't want to throw your car away this early. Just got to play it calm, play it smooth. We're watching a little bit of a breakaway here with those first couple of cars. Austin Beers and James Miller starting to gain a little bit of distance on the rest, putting 5, 6, 7 car lengths on Ty McIntosh in that 3rd place.
Yep, and the rest of the field is kind of just taking it easy for the time being, as the tires are already getting up to the temperature they need to be, and it's starting to become a little bit harder to make passes. You're going to be seeing the bulk of the passes in the initial start of the race and any subsequent restarts that we do get. But with the way these guys are driving, as we have a battle for that 3rd place position between the 95 and the 1, as the longer these guys go, the harder it's going to be for them to make passes.
Yeah, Ryan Gavel really making this outside lane work for him, as he's got himself up clear of the 95 into that 3rd position, was putting out the same lap times there in practice and qualifying as that 19 car of Austin Beers, who is currently leading this track. So Ryan Gavel has his sights set on the back bumper of James Miller, the next car in line, trying to get back up to those people. As you see Ty McIntosh and Rich Garcia here battling out for 4th and 5th. A little bit of a scuff out here, trying to push him up to the wall. McIntosh is trying to just maintain clear of this one, as Garcia going in on the outside lane of this one, where we've seen Gavel putting in a little extra speed coming out of these corners, but that'll put him side by side going into 3 and 4. And there's another one lurking. Tristan Millette here right on the back of these, watching these two battle it out. As Millette going to figure out which lane is going to be the one that works for him, as we do get Garcia to clear. Single file is trying to dive it down underneath Ryan Gavel one more time, as Millette's now going to try this outside lane, but can't quite get it to stick, as McIntosh will slide back up in line.
Tristan Millette has not had the chase-off run that he was initially wanting. Had a tough break in race number 1, lost a lot of ground, and then unfortunately missed race 2 and race 3 back-to-back weeks due to work-related issues, where he had to pretty much stay late at his real-life job, so he wasn't able to make it back this time by. Should be back next week, and you know, we'll see if he's going to be making a full return next season or not.
Yeah, 2024B debuting this August, so plenty of time for these drivers to decide, get their real lives figured out. Again, having a real day job or whatever that is, it's not great. Don't recommend it.
And it's not fun. It's you're stuck with it for life.
Yeah, paying bills and all that stuff, adult responsibilities. Ugh, gross. But well, let's back in this one just as we see.
Oh, no.
52 as well. Hello, little action there on the outside wall. Caden Tuffs getting into that one. The driver's pick started out in 10th, since dropped out of that top 10.
Actually started in 13th.
Oh, was it 13th? Okay.
Yes.
I know it was right around there.
Well,
So he moved up a spot.
Yeah, he moved up, I think, 2, and then he tacked the wall and lost a ton of ground there. It's very hard to me, and he's still struggling to drive. Yeah.
Yeah. Back into that car is whipping out, coming out of the corners and losing a lot of that grip out of this one. So potentially looking at the early concepts of these guys starting to look into some strategy of where these pits potentially could come into play. Like as I mentioned, each driver does have a set of tires that they can utilize here. Kynan Jones bringing it back one more time, and of course I'm talking about the heart rate monitor and nothing else. I love that. That's just good sportsmanship and good character. I love that. That maid outfit's work of art. Thank you so much,
he
man.
rocks the maid outfit.
Yeah. It takes a lot to be able to pull that off. And I respect the commitment to not only do it again, but also to put the cufflinks back on for a second time.
That's my favorite part.
It puts the outfit, it just ties the whole thing together.
Uh-oh, I'm seeing an issue with the driver. No caution is out, though, but I'm seeing Robert Hill has spun out on the track.
Right there on that front stretch, coming around the corner. We'll take a look at the replay here to see what happened to the 20 coming out of this one. Oh, little fast out of the corner, kissed the wall, right through the grass. Unfortunately.
Caution is out now. Oh, no. Kynan Jones has gone off track.
No! That's my pick. Because we're just watching. We saw one. We saw it again. It looks like Kynan would have done it in the exact same spot. They are coming on the front stretch, so curious to see what happened to Kynan coming out of this. See if it was the same spitting image of what was happening. We saw the side-by-side there with that 7. Got a little loose there. Ooh, got a little love tap from behind and sent around, and that's enough that will bring out the caution. Unfortunate there for Kynan, but looks like it should be relatively minimal as far as the damage goes. Shouldn't have too much of an impact, but yeah, that side-by-side there with the South Carolina 7. And a little arrow loose, and then Dylan Thomas just got in the back of him, had nowhere to go, just couldn't quite check up in time.
There may have been contact, but between on that side-by-side battle, but that's for sure not what he wanted. Let's see if any of these drivers are going to go down Pear Road. It looks like they are.
Yep. James Miller said nope.
Yeah. James Miller, Ty McIntosh, Tristan Millette, Jake Scarborough, those are the drivers electing to stay out. And honestly, I don't hate the call. I don't hate the call.
Not mad about it.
Yeah.
Certainly could expect to see, especially with the way the tires have been, would not be too surprised to see another caution that we'll have come out in this first half. So watching a handful of these leaders pit, going to play for the long con with quick math, 35 to go? Probably be 32, 33 once we get that green flag back out.
Right now it's 36 laps to go, but it's going to be...
Yeah.
Around there.
So, putting a good chunk of laps behind them on that first set of tires, and we'll see if they're comfortable enough with how those tires were handling at that third point, then maybe they'll be okay for the next 2/3 of this first half. So, looking for a little bit of a gamble out of that one. Of course, adversely, a little gamble on the front end with the likes of Miller, McIntosh, Millette, Scarborough, as you mentioned. Guys that were running up there towards the front of the pack, seemingly doing all right with the traction that they had at that point and holding on to their tires, potentially waiting for another caution to come out, as we know that a lot of these guys have been a little loose. Seems like we've had more guys that are loose than they are tight around these ones. Caden Tufts does opt into the pit as well, coming back around.
So right now, your top 9 drivers all stayed out. Richard Garcia in 10th place is the first driver who exited pit road. However, he only took fuel. He had a 5-second pit stop, 5 and change. Same thing with Matt Hackathorn in the 04. First driver with what I'm assuming is a full set of 4 fresh tires is Ryan Gavel in 12th place, and honestly, I think this is gonna work out for all the drivers who stayed out, and especially the drivers who went down pit road and just took fuel only, because we don't have that many drivers who took tires, and a lot of the drivers who did take tires were already kind of running towards the middle or the back.
Yeah. So we'll see what the next 10 to 15 laps will give us, as the drivers with new tires will be trying to maneuver their way through that traffic, as you mentioned. Of course, the drivers up front still on their initial set. See what kind of lap times that they can turn out.
Take a look at the replay again.
One more time.
That was netcode.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, a little
netcode.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was afraid of. The Sharks biting at the internet cables again. And then, yeah, Dylan Thomas just unfortunately could not check out in time. Couldn't get that reaction there. And got to the back bumper of Kynan.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything about that. Now the question is, would there have been contact regardless? And I don't think there would have been contact regardless. So that's a real shame.
Yeah. Very unfortunate circumstance for all involved. Specifically Kynan there. They did bring out that caution and did get that little love tap to the back bumper. We'll check on board with him, see what it looks like, and trying to get the correction at that point too little too late.
Oh my goodness! I missed the one to green. I could have sworn they went through it.
I thought the lights were still on too. So
yeah, the lights were still on. I could have sworn. I wonder if Vic shortened the caution and just didn't let us know. But they're wrecking back there. Big wreck. 73 involved.
Man.
04 involved.
Wow, Hackathorn and Kynan both around. And another caution out immediately after green flag dropped. And see what this is going to do for the rest of the cars. Because that was a very quick start and only got maybe a lap out of that one before another incident happened. We'll take another look at the replay and see where it went wrong. Lots of cars.
Ooh, check up.
4 just got, yep.
Oh, man.
4 slowed down, then 73 just got to the back of it. That collects a 7 as well. South Carolina Gamecocks going spiraling as they do just about every football season.
Brandon Jones and Ray Bracey both having meatball flags, so their races are for sure effectively done. Yeah, big checkup. 04 wasn't expecting the drivers up ahead to slow down as quickly as they did, and unfortunately the rest of the field wasn't able to match how quickly the 04 slammed on the brakes.
I wonder where that initial accordion started, because you see the one up there on the outside lane where Peeler then tucks in behind, and I wonder if that's Gabble that had to slow up first that then made Peeler and everyone else behind accordion after that one. So unfortunate there, just a big stack up on that outside lane.
I don't think that's how it worked out. I just think that the 04 kind of misjudged the entry corner, because it looked like everybody kind of slowed down at the same pace except for the 04.
Yeah, that could have been just Hackathorn tried to drive in a little too hot, a little too spicy. Maybe he wasn't expecting Peeler to slide up in front as well. As we saw, he did try to tuck in there behind the one. Take a look from Ray Bracey's point of view, and at that point you just don't know what's going on in front of you. You're just following the rest of the drivers and can't see anything happening up front and get collected in that incident. You see the 54 down there on the bottom of the track as well. Must have been involved in this. That is, yeah. Hackathorn just gets taken around. Bracey loses it in the middle of the corner.
Oh.
Yep. Oh, just got caught out trying to dodge it. Some fancy feet there from the 35, though, being able to avoid all of that and get through this one unscathed. Unfortunate 54 not so lucky. Take a look from their perspective. Mr. Conrad here.
A chase-off driver.
Up high. Yep.
Woo!
Dive. Barely gets through. Dodges that back bumper. Gets through. Days of Thunder. Not quite as fast, but same but different. So that'll be our second caution already here in this first half, as we're coming up, if not have passed the halfway point. Just past it now. As you still see the
not quite yet.
17
Next
Miller.
time by.
Yeah. James Miller still holding on to the front. Was the pole sitter. Ty McIntosh right behind. Jake Scarborough back after last week's absence.
Now I'm scared
29.
to go look at other replays in case
See what
race
happens.
control is going to shorten the pace laps. I think I mean obviously it's too late for them to shorten it now, but we'll see if we have one to green next time by. If we do, we'll be restarting with 27 laps remaining.
And for the downhill slide of this first half. Of course, as you mentioned, a full field invert will be coming after this one, so we'll start to definitely see where the drivers will start to get their way through traffic. And the lights are off on the truck, so next time by will be under a green flag as they start to double file their way around through 1 and 2. We know that James Miller's got the speed. We know McIntosh is up there in that top 5 holding on, looking for the rest of these drivers that are in that top 10 outside of Ryan Gavel that we just see back and forth between 10 and 11. A lot of these guys stayed out after that first caution and are trying to maintain their position up there, but the middle of the pack are the ones with the fresher tires that are going to be hunting to get back up towards the front.
Sith Lord is out in half one already.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
shocking to see.
Pace truck dives off. They come up to the start-finish line, and a great jump there by James Miller on the outside lane. Gets a full car length coming around the start-finish. And Binx Scarborough just did not get the start that he was hoping for. Did not get to the back bumper. He's side-by-side with Millette coming out on the backstretch. But Miller with a couple of car lengths already on McIntosh. Trying to hold into that one. 3 wide going through Gavel. But Garcia...
Remember, Gavel's the first driver
Good,
with the 4 fresh tires, and he's going 3 wide. Austin Beers look pushing it 3 wide now.
On the inside now. They're going inside of that 18 of Carlson, who's just unfortunately going to get shuffled back. He's going to get all the way up and slam the door on that 18. Now going to try to push it 3 wide one more time. The 99 of Javier Gomero is going to get sent out and sent back one more time. Peterson, Gavel getting real close to the quarter panels there. They're going to be side-by-side going through 1 and 2 as they're picking off driver 1 at a time, 3 wide at a time. The 52 almost gets a little wiggle there from the 19, but will hold and maintain. Going to force Beers to check up. Have to tuck back in there, gives Gavel the edge and that outside lane where he's doing so well so far through this race. Mr. Millette's going to fall victim next to that 1 car and is going to try to block Austin Beers, who's going to dive low. We'll take that position. We'll eventually have to tuck in potentially here behind Ryan Gavel unless he maintains that low line. As they look with their sights set on the 95 of Ty McIntosh next up, who is trying to edge out James Miller here, right on the back bumper, coming out of the corner around the front stretch. Can't quite get there as the 17 is a little bit faster, and Gavel is slowly but surely reeling him in.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before the 1 and the 19 take over the top 2 spots. We got a lot of shakeup going on here around here in the middle of the track.
3 looks like they're trying to get risky enough. They might even consider going a 4th car wide, but not just yet. As we hit the 3 wide TV multicam, we'll watch on the bottom side where that 1 and 19 are continuing to accelerate their way to those top 2 spots, as you mentioned. In the middle of the pack up top, where things get a little dicey. Everybody racing for position. 22 laps to go here. Everybody knows how their tires are going to handle, knows how their cars are going to feel through these corners and how much speed they can carry at the current juncture. Like they're trying to go 3 wide down there as Ryan Gavel will be passing James Miller for the lead. Beers is going to be the next one up to pass as well. So now it's the 1 and the 19. Number 1, number 2, both on the race and in the championship standings, is currently at the front of the pack at Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, fantastic drive. I thought that they would have been held up a lot more based on how many drivers did stay out with the old tires or just taking gas only. So they caught me unawares, but it's fun to see them battle through their way through the pack, and more importantly, avoid any issues and controversies. They weren't involved. They didn't push it too hard. They were pushing it a bit, but nothing outside of what we would be expecting from championship contending drivers. So phenomenal job by these two drivers to go with the risky strategy and come out on top so far. Now, of course, if a caution comes out anywhere in the next 5 to 10 laps, and this strategy has been for naught, because I'm sure all those drivers that stayed out without tires are going to go in, get fresh tires, and 19 and the 1 are more than likely not going to win tonight's half, number 1. But if it goes caution free the rest of the way, and this is a battle for the win.
Yeah, we talked about the 19 and the 1. Austin Beers drove it in a little too far in that corner, and after making that pass on, Ryan Gavel did relinquish that spot back to the 1 car. So these two duking it out up here at the front of the pack have put light years between them and James Miller, who is, as you mentioned, the car that had not hit for them. But right now, 1.8 seconds and climbing as these two are just running away from the pack, where everything else is up at the top, where you're looking at 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place right here in that top 10 as drivers are a couple wide, maybe pushing it 3 wide here as Garcia's going to get put in the middle lane. And that'll be enough to clear for the time being. Now a little crossover with James Watson trying to get in the mix. Wanting to find that 3rd lane, but can't quite get it to stick as Zach Evans is trying to find who to support here. Going through these corners as they are just constantly shifting and shaking things up on who's running what lane right now. And 6 and the 13 are just watching, wait, whichever lane's going to go and work the best for them. They can't quite seem to make up their minds either as to who's going to be the one that takes advantage of this one. But Millette right now doing a great job here blocking off Watson. He's going to try to dig low. Coming around into the first corner. He's going to enter side by side to see if he has enough speed to clear coming out of this one. Don't think he will. So 29 can hold that high line. They come out basically door to door once again. This is the back and forth, the give and the take.
Yeah, great job.
Bottom. 3
great
seconds
job
now.
Yeah, it's just there's no competition. It's just going to be a battle for the lead between these two guys, and then a battle for 3rd place. That's exactly what it's only going to be.
Yeah. Everybody else looking for that 17 car, but got to get through 4th through 8th right here, who are constantly shifting lanes up and down, back and forth. As you see the same thing on the bottom of the screen, the 1 and the 19. Just a give and a take, a shake and a bake, high side, low side, and keep trading off with these lead changes here between the two of them. And like this time around, it might be the 19 that comes clear on this one. Gavel takes the high line one more time, but won't have enough speed as Beers tries to get all the way up, and we've seen that happen a couple of times where you just can't quite keep it under control, and the 1 will cross over low and take the lead right back one more time. We'll see the 19 do the exact same thing. Just a matter of who's going to do it on that last lap.
Well, this is going on. They are also still shuffling for that 3rd place position. I just saw that Pat McIntosh has been moving around, moving up and down a couple spots here and there. Trying to get the 2nd feed to kind of switch his car right now. There we go. That's the battle for 3rd place at the moment on the bottom of the screen.
James Miller is the one leading the way. James Watson there trying to dive low and take away that 3rd position. Of course, you also see the Me Fine machine. Zach Evans right there on the back bumper. Ty McIntosh in the 95 here. Here's Gavel getting pretty close to each other through that corner on the top side as they are still side by side, trying to fight back and forth for this one. 10 to go here in the first half. You see these two battling it out and the lead. You see as well above that 10 to go, a full invert will be happening. These two will be at the back of the pack coming into the second half, assuming everything stays the way that it is. We'll see them drive through traffic one more time, but it is that race for 3rd place right now. Watson holding on to that one. Miller trying to block off anybody else that's going to be hard charging. Ty McIntosh is going to be the next one up. You see Dylan Thomas here entering the fray with Zach Evans right behind. Thomas Capuano in that 21. Haven't talked about him really at all as of yet, but he's sitting in that 8th position. Made his way up here into the fray. And I don't mean the band.
What a fantastic drive for these first two drivers. And, well, you mentioned that we're going to have a full fuel invert, so these two drivers have really good experience. The one is on the outside wall. They have really good experience on how to navigate the field. They've done it once already. They probably feel a little bit more confident doing it again if they finish up front in the second half. But the one smacked that outside wall. It's got some right side damage. Is that going to affect him? It looks like it's not, because he's still putting up a good battle on the outside.
There's a ton of speed on that outside lane as well. It's doing such a good job of controlling that car. Got a little bit of a wiggle there coming out of that one, but 6 to go here as they come around one more time. Ryan Gavel's really made that outer lane work for him so well, at least through 3 and 4, and is now trying to put some distance between him and the 19. A couple of car lengths now as they seem to back it off a little bit here. Not so aggressive on the switching lanes and swapping positions. The most curious thing about watching them as they drove through traffic was how often they were putting it 3 wide, going around all the other cars. So could certainly make for a very interesting start to that second half. They stay up here at the front to conclude this one. The send cars 3 wide going out of this one. Looks like the 19 losing a little bit of traction here coming out of the corners as well. He's trying to dive it low. He's going to get enough to get side by side in the corner. See if the one can clear coming out, and he does. There's another car length on this one, so 4 to go here. We'll watch on the bottom of the screen. That is roughly the 4th through 8th position you're looking at here. Inverse it. Rich Garcia here watching Thomas Capuano, Ty McIntosh up in front. And McIntosh, who was running up in 3rd, 4th place, has now since dropped to 7th place. Dylan Thomas and Zach Evans both able to make the passes on him. Tristan Millette back into the top 10 as well, but Garcia is right now holding that buffer between the top 8 and everybody else, kind of holding his own spot in this position with 3 to go.
Precaution does come out at any point before the white flag comes out. That will lead to an interesting conversation for sure, because I'm sure there's still going to be people.
Oh yeah,
there's still going to be people who stayed out who will continue to stay out, especially towards the back. But a lot of these drivers will be going down Perry Road. But only 3 corners now, 2 corners left before the white flag is out, and I don't think we're going to wreck here.
Everybody being pretty respectful. No one getting too aggressive at this point yet, but watching the one dive low here coming out of turn number 4. We'll cross the line here and drop the white flag as we watch to see if Austin Beers has any moves left in him. He's going to dive into the low side here for turn 1 and 2. We'll get side by side, but the one has done so well in the outside lane with the speed. He's going to maintain. The 19 can't quite get there. Is still on that bumper, though. We'll dive low one more time, coming through 3 and 4 as the lead for the time being. Can he clear it out through the exit of the corner? They're side by side. The one almost gets sideways, but Ryan Gavel will cross the line first, barely a 1/10 of a second between 1 and 2, and is complete chaos there between 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place, all separated by less than half a second. The driver certainly getting every penny worth of driving there in that one, but big story out of that, Ryan Gavel, Austin Beers just putting on a clinic for everybody else. But that one car walks away from this one with that first place and was making some good moves last week to start to close that gap between 1st and 2nd in the championship points. And you know, he knows what he has to do, and he's getting it done.
What a fantastic drive from these 2 drivers, Ryan Gavel, Austin Beers. They drove each other hard, but they drove each other very clean there at the end. James Watson finished off in 3rd place with James Miller in 4th. The James show there in that battle for 3rd and 4th. Zach Evans, hey, that was my pick. I knew he had something going for him, and he came home half one with a good, solid top 5. Dylan Thomas in 6th place. Thomas Capuano is going to finish half number 1 in 7th. Ty McIntosh 8. Richard Garcia in 9th. And Tristan Millette, back from essentially a 2-week break, in 10th place. Matt Hackathorn finishes half 1 in 11th. Jake Scarborough 12th. Cal A. Carlson will be finishing in 13th. Neil Rutt 14th. Gilberto Javier Gomera 15th. Mike Goodman Jr. Goody is going to be finishing 16th. Caden Tubbs 17th. And David Westergreen will be finishing half 1 in 18th place. Let's finish it out here. 19th, Tim Conrad. 20th, Dave Carpenter. Rashid Coles in 21st. Robert Hill Jr., we saw him have that issue there that did not bring out the caution, finishing in 22nd. Adam Peeler, 23rd, as the last driver on the lead lap. Ray Bracey, 18 laps down, was involved in that incident involving Kynan Jones. And Kynan Jones right behind him in 25th place. And starting half number 2 on the inverse pole will be Vincent Isabella.
Yeah, unfortunately, very early on, had an exit out of this one, but good performance we saw from a lot of these drivers. Now look into the strategies of what they have to be able to drive through traffic, going from the other direction, from the back to the front. We saw Austin Beers, Ryan Gavel, not afraid to send it 3 wide as they picked off drivers one at a time, and I cannot be too surprised if we see that happen again at the green flag drop of half number 2.
All right, well, I believe we have a sponsor plug to give out before we go ahead and give our half number 2 picks.
I don't know if I'm ready for the half number 2 picks. We're not doing very well here. I had Kynan Jones down when we saw that performance, but of course, our picks are brought to you by Binx Designs. They are a local New Jersey graphic design company that specializes in all of your custom apparel and tumbler needs. You can check out their website at binxdesigns.myshopify.com. Of course, link going to be down below as well. Shout out to them being able to put this together. Of course, they are the namesake sponsor of the Binx Designs 114. We are 57 laps of the way to the 114. That's half. I can do that math at least. And
Good.
I know the math that I'm going to get out of my pick from that one is not going to be good for me.
All right, well, Vic, I don't know if Vic is ready.
I got you. Yeah. Well, Trevor, your pick. Your picks first, because yeah, your pick didn't quite do so hot.
Did not. Okay. All right.
But me and you both, brother. Me and you both.
And I can't. Nope. Can't pick him. Can't pick him. How about? Can I do the 95? Nope. Can't do the 95. I'm in shambles. Can I do the 8?
I don't know if he's gonna show up for 2.
Oh wait, the 7. Nope. No.
Can you do the 6?
Man, I really don't want to do the 6, but I will.
He got. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, it looks like you have to do the 6 now. Yeah.
I'm gonna take the 6, and I'm not happy about it.
That's unfortunate. It's okay. I don't have any good picks left either. And my pick second here because our picks sucked, frankly. But I'm gonna go with somebody that you went with because I think he's gonna have better luck in F2. I'm gonna go with my favorite driver. I'm gonna go with Kynan Jones. Up next is the drivers, and the drivers say that they want the 95 of Ty McIntosh. Carlos, you're up.
I have a feeling Gavel's going to come back and finish half number 2 strong again.
That is fair. Gotta pull Goody up here for his
Damn,
pick.
Goody still beat me?
Yeah, Goody picked a freaking 19.
Yeah, Beers, yeah.
Alright. You
All
got
right.
Goody.
Is Miller still available?
Yeah.
Good pick.
Yeah, I'll take him.
That is a really good pick. You're probably gonna pull away with this ridiculous amounts.
Illusion.
Have we determined what the winner's going to get?
No idea. You'll have to ask Neil.
I will in just a few moments.
Yeah, I'll pull you back down there. Good luck.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thank you to Binx Design for sponsoring this season's Commentators Championship. We also want to thank Weekend Woodsmen for sponsoring the series throughout the last couple of seasons. Hopefully they're having a good time, and we have a commercial to play for them. So thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
Be sure to check out Tim Mayo Conrad and the Weekend Woodsman crew on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button to get notifications when a new video drops, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy the race.
Welcome back to Iowa Speedway for the Binx Designs 114. We are getting ready and set up for half number 2. You see the mostly cloudy conditions that we have here for the second half of this race. Waiting for these track temperatures to get themselves settled before we get things heated back up, literally and figuratively. Of course, after such a compelling start there out of the first one, well, we saw the 19 and the 1 battling it out for the championship, battling it out for that first half win. We'll look at the starting lineup here. Of course, Vincent Isabel potentially leading the way. Kynan Jones, after a DNF that first half, will be sitting in 3rd. Ray Bracey in 4th. Adam Pila starting out in 5th place. A full field invert is why we're seeing this one. Robert Hill in the 20 will be starting in 6th place. Sheik Coles starting out in 7th. Mr. Carpenter there with his almost Wheaties in 8th. Tim Conrad there in 9th, and David Westergreen rounding out our top 10 before we get into the rest of the pack. Caden Tufts there had an early pick from the drivers in that first half, starting in 11th. Mr. Goody, who is likely going to be doing very well in the Commentators Championship standings there in 12th. Gilberto Javier Gamera starting in 13th. Neil Rutt in the 66 starting in 14th. Kyle Carlson in 15th. Jake Scarborough coming back will be starting in 16th in that 52 machine. Matt Hackathorn, involved in an accident in the first half, will be starting out 17 alongside Tristan Millette in the 29, who we saw battling up towards the front of the pack quite often with the likes of Richard Garcia in the 57, will be in 19th. Ty McIntosh in the 95, starting in 20th. Thomas Capuano in 21st in the 21, with Dylan Thomas alongside in the 13. Meat Fine Machine, North Carolina's Powder Blue. Zach Evans alongside of James Miller there, the pole sitter from first half in 23rd and 24th. James Watson and Austin Beers, 25th and 26th, with just leads. One more car that we'll see. It is that number 1 indeed, who finished number 1 in the first half of this one. Ryan Gavel, who is trying to continuously chip away at the lead that Austin Beers has in the overall championship points. We have 1 half to go in this race right here, and after that, next week is the final race, as we mentioned. Atlanta 2008 style is where we'll be concluding the 2024A OSCA Series Championship. We're going to leave it all on the line here. 7/8 of a mile at a time, 57 times around before these guys get things going here. As we mentioned, driving through traffic, Austin Beers, Ryan Gavel did so well after pitting in that first half with 35-ish to go. I think it was like 20, lap 22, somewhere in there, where they did hit pit lane, came out 11th, 12th place, and picked off drivers one by one, racing their way to the lead before very quickly putting on a gap to the rest of the field. Now we'll see if they are so brave to do that one more time as we see the pace truck dip off. And Kynan Jones and Ray Bracey will be leading us to the checkered line, where the green flag is down, and we are underway here at Iowa Speedway for the Binx Designs 114 second half. And already you see these two cars starting to pull away a little bit here. Peeler trying to maintain and stay in the draft out of this one. We're trying to find his lane here. But we'll have Mr. Hill on the outside trying to work his way by. Kynan holding on to the lead for the time being. South Carolina Gamecocks always looking at the lead.
Oh, around goes the 99.
Already. 99's around, coming out of 4. No yellows thrown just yet.
Caution is out. Oh, big wreck, 13.
Dylan Thomas is out as well in turn 2. So a couple of separate incidents here. And we do get our first caution of the second half.
All right, I said big wreck, but it looked like it was only one driver involved. But let's take a look at the replay and see just what happened.
First and foremost, a 99 there right at the start-finish line. Just gets sent around. And then coming through, that Dylan just lost the whole thing and couldn't quite hold on to it.
He had some help there.
Yeah.
He had some help. As let's take a look at the rear bumper camera. See the number 17 of James Miller. One bump, 2 bumps.
Right on. Yep. Just couldn't quite hold that speed. 17 got him. So Dylan Thomas collected there in that one, and that is the one that does bring out the caution flag.
Happened to go Berto
What happened to the 99
Javier.
too? Yeah. Coming across the start finish there. down on the bottom line. And that hackathon right there, just looks like it barely clipped that corner.
I think because the 04 was blinking, he had to check up. And I think he got hit from behind, but let's take a look at it from a different angle.
The Carl Carlson right behind.
Yeah.
04 came back in. Yeah, 99 looks like he checked up a little bit and then got tagged from behind. Sent around. Good job to at least hold on to it and keep it off the wall.
Yeah, it didn't hit anything.
Minimal damage, if any.
Didn't hit anything, and now Kynan Jones, who started the race in first place, is going to continue to lead some free laps there for Kynan Jones. And you know what?
Yep.
It's under caution. He's under pace speed. Should be nothing that's stressing this man out. Let's take a look at his baseline heart rate. Get that man a doctor. That's 125 under caution.
Yeah, nothing going on right now. Just potentially feeling the pressure of knowing you're about to lead the field back to green here. You start to spike back up a little bit, a few more. Oh, 136, 37, 38. You're knowing that the green flag's coming, and you got to make sure that you're in a position to hold on to this when Ray Bracey did a lot to try to take that lead away.
Here's what happened. Race control shortened the caution right now, so we are 1 to green, and so that jump is him going from I got another lap, we got 2 to go, and then we're doubling follow-up now. Okay. Now I got to think about what I'm gonna do. His heart rate went down a little bit, so I think he knows he's got his plan set, but for a second there he didn't have a plan set up.
Brief reactionary spike in that heart rate, but now we'll watch as the pace truck rolls off.
Yep, let's keep this up.
Turn 3 and 4. Watch that heart rate coming through to the restart. We'll lead the one more time. Keeler tried to get a jump, but unfortunately lost it. It looks like a bumper that just got lost somewhere back in the middle of the field. That Kynan, with a 140, is going to be bringing him around turn 1 with the lead. And doesn't have anyone threatening in this position yet. Rich Hill there on the bottom lane will take position away from Ray Bracey for the time being as they enter side by side into turns 3 and 4. Rich Hill will clear out of coming out of this one. Ooh, a little scuff on the wall right there. Kynan Jones here trying to hold this one. The 20 is hard charging into this turn number 1. And he's going to be side by side to try to take the lead out of this one. Now side by side, Kynan's heart rate going up. The thrill of the hunt. Careful in this outside lane. Make sure you keep it off the wall. Will clear Hill on this time. We continue to watch the left side of the screen to watch where those two that we saw finish 1-2 in the first half, where they're at right now. Gavel up to 19th, currently picked off at least half a dozen drivers. He's going to try to move his way up through traffic, but right now the story of this one is Kynan Jones holding on to the lead and holding on to the blood pressure with a 150 heart rate there for a second. Let's get a couple of car lengths here onto Hill. Take a look at the 3-wide TV multicam. We see James Miller, our pole sitter from the first half. The back bumpers of Rich Garcia. Carlson and Thomas Capuano up here battling for position. This is 12th, 13th, 14th, roughly in that area. Garcia's going to be going on the high side of Carlson. Try to get out of this one. That is the 19 of Austin Beers that has made his way all the way up to 11th place as it stands. Looking to break into the top 10. 10 laps into this second half has already made it over halfway through traffic, whilst the 17 for the one of Ryan Gavel, not so fortunate, sitting in 17th currently. Can't quite
clear. That's what I was looking at when you mentioned them earlier. We were talking about the one, and then I looked to see where Beers is, and he's cracking the top 10 right now, and it's a big difference, especially compared to how this similar thing kind of happened in between half one when they went down pit road and took tires. It seemed like Gavel was a little bit faster, even though they both kind of made around the same pace. But this time by, Gavel's still stuck around 17, around that area. Meanwhile, Beers is trying to work his way, or he's into the top 10. Now he's going to try to work his way even further to the top 10 as he's going 3 wide.
Yep, split the middle right there. And it's a very fast collection of cars you're looking at right now with Ty McIntosh, Austin Beers, Tristan Millette right behind as well. Rich Garcia, as we've seen doing so well up there. James Miller in the mix.
Whoa.
54 back here of Cheat Coles. Here's potentially adding a little spice to this mix-up with Ryan Gavel just behind the Me-Fi machine of Zach Evans. But at 19 car, I'll be honest with you, when I was talking about Ryan Gavel in that one, I was not looking that high up on the side of the screen. I was not expecting Austin Beers to be that far up, and I just naturally assumed that Austin Beers was still somewhere around that 21st position. Didn't look that high up, but here we are. We're looking at him in 6th place right now, and very quickly taking cars one at a time. Jake Scarborough in the 52 up next here, half a second ahead of him, but we're still 3 wide here, potentially looking to make it 4 going around this corner. See if we can keep it civil coming out of this one. Do maintain a 3 wide. Garcia, Millette, and James Miller here to round out around the front stretch into turn number 1. And man, they just look hungry, trying to get, looks like either Neil Rudd or Thomas Capuano, trying to get them in to be that 4th car, but I don't want anything to do with any of that if I'm sitting in either one of those.
Sorry, take over. My dogs are being a little loud right now.
Oh, you're good. Dogs be having a lot to talk about sometimes. Thankfully, mine is comatose underneath my desk, and I'm very appreciative of that. But still watching the battle for position here between 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th here, middle of the pack. The likes of a handful of drivers that started in the back, starting to meet some of these drivers who were averaging roughly in this position for the first half. So speeds are starting to level out as far as where drivers are finding themselves in position right now. But name of the game has been Austin Beers moving his way all the way up from second to last here into almost the top 5 now, coming up real close to back bumper Jake Scarborough in that 52. But we've seen the top 4 hold steady, even Jake Scarborough in that 5th position. All 5 of them have maintained their spots where they're at. Kynan Jones still holding on to the lead, and through TV multicam, Ray Bracey just following suit, 1 corner at a time, trying to find an angle, trying to find a weakness of the 73. With Hill in the 20, and Adam Peeler in the 27, holding on to 4th place. Scarborough and Austin Beers following suit right there. So James Miller trying to make some moves there on the bottom side. Neil Rutt here trying to finally get picked off as continued to move their way up, and Ryan Gavel's now entered that mix, has got himself into 13th position and continuing to move up, trying to catch up to where Austin Beers is currently. But plenty of time here left still in the second half. 37, 36 laps to go out of this one.
38.
Kynan Jones holding on to the lead. 143 in that heart rate. Holding steady in the 140s.
I think Kynan's locked in right now. As long as he's able to hold on to the outside line, I don't see Ray Bracey being able to complete that pass on the inside. The only thing that would change is if a caution would come out. Now, I don't know if you heard it or if you know better than I do right now, but can they make it without having to pit?
To my knowledge, there is no necessity for a fuel pit. They should be fine on fuel. It's just a matter of if these drivers want tires or not. And of course, the only time you're probably ever going to see that happen is going to have to be under a caution. There's no chance you're going to go in for tires at any point under a green flag. So a lot of this one is just dependent on the drivers keeping it clean. And if a caution does come out, who is going to be the one to jump on the sacrificial grenade to get those tires and see what it can do for you?
And you're right, I do see her here on my notes. It says fuel should last about 60 laps, so there really shouldn't be a reason for them to pit. So I apologize to the people preparing my notes. I should have read them. But we're going 3 wide here for 4th position here. Wow, that caught me off guard.
Very briefly 3 wide. Ty McIntosh looking to cross up here on Austin Beers, coming back down the back stretch. Beers made his way into this top 5 now, as they are trading positions here. Looking at the back bumper here, Jake Scarborough in 3rd place. It was Adam Peeler just a few laps ago, who has since dropped like a rock down to 9th place very quickly. A lot of this faster traffic has caught up and is starting to pass him. Traffic's starting to spread out a little bit too, so making it a lot easier to pass 1 car at a time as opposed to having to deal with 2, 3, 4 cars in succession. So being able to just have this as a 1 at a time is making it a little bit easier for some of these guys to pass with the front runners that we had. And for McIntosh to make this pass here onto Scarborough on the inside lane, see if he will clear. See that battle up ahead right now, but on board with Peeler, who's now since dropped to 10th place. Holding on to this position, looking at the backside of Thomas Capuano's 21. Looking to hold on to this middle lane, not working too high, working too low. I'll tell you how long it's been since I've actively watched one of Peeler's streams, is I don't recognize his backdrop at all. And that makes me feel pretty bad.
Oof. Oh, looks like you're going to have to change that pretty soon then.
Unfortunately, every time he streams is when I'm either at work or I'm actually here for the OSCA series. So, oops. James Miller in 12th right now has moved up significantly through the field. See 12 gain positions here in the second half. Is going to be the next one to slide right on by Adam Peeler, or at least attempt to. Has him on the door coming out of turn number 2 on this back stretch. Right behind Ryan Gavel. But Zach Evans in the Me Fine Machine here in 13th. Holding this low line is side by side with Tristan Millette up there, who's going to have to find his way either with or around Adam Peeler there up on the outside lane. And like he's going to stick with him on the back bumper, try to give him a little push through this one. James Miller's going to block Peeler coming out of this one. Now it's going to send it potentially 3 wide. Zach Evans going low on this one, but is the Nurse Aviator not going to let this one happen? Block him off on the bottom side, at least for the time being, to hold on to one more position. As the high side is now going to start to get advantage out of that one. Zach Evans does finally get the nose under to send it 3 wide into the corner. But we'll have to back off out of this one as Peeler's got the speed to maintain a 6, trying to find their way. And this is what I was talking about earlier with being able to pass one car at a time, significantly easier. When you get into the collections of 3-4 cars, you're sending it 3-4 wide at times, going around these corners makes it significantly more challenging to pass. But Peeler finally is going to be enough to give up these positions and make it down to at least a couple wide here. Shouldn't have any more 3 wide excursions going around in that position. Dylan Thomas, after an earlier incident, now fighting with Tristan Millette on this back bumper and trying to hold off. Mr. Carlson right behind him. Gonna dive low. James Miller running that high side as well in 11th place. This is that battle right outside of our top 10. It's currently happening on the front side of this one. Not a lot has changed. Austin Beer still sitting in 5th place. Scarborough in 4th. Kynie Jones still leading the way with Ray Bracey in tail right there. So everybody's just playing it pretty smooth here. 32 laps, or 31 at least, have passed us by on lap 32. And all things have been quiet on the western front, save that single caution that we had just a couple of laps in.
Yep, smooth sailing ever since, as we just hit 25 laps remaining in this race. We finished 32 of them. We have 25 remaining, as that 7 of Ray Bracey has not left the back bumper of Kynan Jones in that 73. But as I mentioned earlier, as long as Kynan Jones doesn't overdrive or make a mistake on the outside line, he should be able to hold on with a hard charging number 7 the rest of the race, unless the 7 decides to use his bumper, or if the 73 hits the outside wall. Now, Ty McIntosh is going to use that little checkup that the 7 did to go to the inside of 95. Now, that is going to be something that Kynan Jones wants to see. Oh, my goodness, he sent it in there. Wow, what a save.
Good save there by Ty McIntosh, who I was getting ready to give so much credit for. Had so much speed to be able to catch up to those 2 cars in the front right there, the 73 and the 7. Unfortunately, a couple of other small mistakes led to another mistake there. So it's just a small domino effect. 1, 2, 3, all 3 of them has now put the top 5 cars all within 3/4 of a second of each other, roughly. Take a look at the replay as to exactly what just came to fruition. And saw the 73 hit the outside wall. The 7 tried to go high. That gave the ton of speed for the 95 to be able to come down. And the 70 got a little bit of a wiggle right there. While you see McIntosh trying to get this one low. Tried to slam the door, tried to get... Unfortunately, couldn't get clear of that one. Just rode right up into the door of the 73 coming out of the corner. So collects a couple. Now it's going to leave all 5 of these cars right next to each other. And of course, with this traffic being so close to each other, that is going to be enough opportunity here for the 19 to try to get himself into the front of the pack once again. A lot of the lap times these guys were turning out, though, were relatively close to each other, within only a couple hundreds, couple thousands of each other. So very close as to what these guys are all doing up here. The intervals can be very close as well. You look at the bottom of the screen there. These drivers are all running roughly the same speeds right now. So anybody out of these top 5 could find themselves in a really strong position if something were to happen with a caution.
And that's something that is interesting because Kynan Jones isn't particularly faster than a lot of the guys right behind him. He has been holding them back. He's been doing an excellent job of holding them back. The majority of the field is still, top 10 is only 3.5 seconds behind the race leader. They're all within that 3.5 second mark. So they're really not that far away. Gavel, who's been taking his sweet time to get into the top 10 and hasn't even gone to the top 5 yet. He's only 2.3 seconds behind the race leader. If Kynan keeps holding these guys back, you'll be finding him making his way into this battle for the lead.
Yeah, kind of doing a great job. Jake Scarborough now the one knocking on the door of the lead here. You mentioned that one car of Ryan Gavel, slowly but surely picking off a 10th at a time here and there, but maintaining the pace up at the front of this one. Ryan Gavel is playing the long con, trying to get up into position. Take a look at 3Y TV multicam, looking at Matt Hackathorn up top right now. That's going to be sitting in 14th place. Zach Evans right there with Caden Tuss and Hill. Rich Hill Jr. sitting up in 15th, 16th, 17th place. A battle here in the middle of the pack as still maintained the bumper view. We're looking at from front side of Jake Scarborough, looking at the back side of Kynan Jones.
Contact at 20. Whew.
Yeah, they're getting a little dicey up there fighting for those positions in the middle of the pack, and I can understand feeling a little chipper based off of how things have gone for you so far in this race. Find yourself in the middle, just trying to race through all this traffic, having all these faster cars just skirt by you seemingly effortlessly. As the 32 and the 20, man, he's just trying to get in there, just trying to get these cars out of his way. A little contact at a time. Can't just bump them out of the way potentially.
Here we go, battle for the lead. Going through turns 1, 52 is going to drive it in there deep in turns 1 and 2. The 73 of Kynan Jones is going to let that outside line roll as he's going to get the advantage actually in the corner.
It drives it down right on top of the 52. Keeps the side-by-side, looking for enough clearance out of this one for the speed, but 73 just continues to be side-by-side, taking the air out of it. And we'll hold on to the lead for one more time, going around the front stretch here. 14 laps to go. 52's trying to find the lane that's going to work. He's going to psych Kynan Jones out a little bit, tries to get him to go low. Unfortunately does not, while Austin Beers just watches and waits for the chance to strike from this third position. Let these two battle it out side by side, potentially let them make a little contact, lose all their speed. We've seen it happen already between Kynan and Ray Bracey, with Ty McIntosh getting collected out of that one. Austin Beers does not want to be in that same position. He's going to try to make this lower lane work through these first couple of corners, but drawing them in closer, one car length at a time. He's going to take the high side this time around, try to maintain the speed out of 4. He can get that much up into back bumper of the 52. Put a little bit of distance there between 4th and 5th position. That's going to be Garcia and Ray Bracey that are side by side going through these corners, with Ty McIntosh lurking in the shadows. And I don't want to say anything just yet, but 1.1 seconds behind is that one car of Ryan Gavel with 12 to go. Has seemingly put himself in position, playing the long con, slowly but surely got his way up there.
He probably does have the better sets of tires too. I'm looking down. Okay, he probably saved his tires a little bit better by not just bulldozing his way through the field.
Yeah.
Bulldozing is probably the wrong term, but like speed racing his way through the field. But he also did go down pit road on that first set of caution, on that first caution. Only took fuel, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect him too much as the 7 gets a little loosey-goosey there in the straightaway.
Yeah, 95 and the 7. Make a little contact there on the front side, and we'll let Ryan Gavel enter into the mix to pass Ray Brace there on that low side, or at least attempt to make that pass. Meanwhile, the 73 and the 52 still holding strong in that 1-2. Not a lot of change has happened here in the top 5, but the only change currently happening in the top 10 is The one car slowly marching forward, closer and closer to the front as we are under 10 to go, but at 9 to go on the counter as we watch to see who's going to walk away with this one. Kynan still in control. This one has been for relatively the entire duration of the second half. Just a matter of waiting for the faster cars from the first half to get their way towards the front. Ryan Gabel seems to have lost a little bit of that speed. He's going to be losing this position potentially to Ty McIntosh as well, as they're fighting for 5th place right now, side by side. Garcia gets a little loose right behind Austin Beers there. Looks like he might have gotten pretty close to that wall if he didn't hit it, but lost the back end of that car real quick. But Beers still waiting patiently as well, waiting for one of these first 2 cars to make a mistake. At the same time as Ryan Gabel's waiting for the same thing to happen to see if he can close that gap and get up there as we come up very closely on the backstretch, coming around with 6 to go here this time around.
It's so hard to pass for all of these drivers out there in this track, and Jones, Kynan Jones is doing the best he can to hold on to that lead position. I think he has led every single lap in this half, and with 6 laps remaining, he's going to try to continue doing that same thing till the race is over. The 52's been getting closer and closer, but lately he has not really been putting up much of a threat. He could just be out there saving his stuff, but now it looks like he's right back on that back bumper, sniffing, trying to get that lead, maybe thinking about using that bumper in the middle of one of these corners.
Is right there, just in tandem there with Kynan Jones, following very closely all the way around the track here. 5 to go now. Austin Beer still sitting idle with 0.6 of an interval between him and the lead.
There's the bumper.
Garcia and Ryan Gabel. There's the bump right there. It's going to push Kynan Jones out of the way. Will he have the speed to clear? Don't think he will. Kynan Jones going to keep him on the side at least, and is going to get enough to clear as well. So Scarborough dumps a little bit of speed. He's going to drive it in here going into 1 and 2. He's going to use the door to try to get him out and try to push him up the track. And that might be enough to lose the speed, but they still maintain side by side, door to door, going down backside. Scarborough does finally clear, makes the pass for the lead. Kynan Jones finally gives that one up in turns 3 and 4. Scarborough will lead the lap with 3 to go, coming around. And of course, the top 5 are all now within 0.6 of each other. It is go time here for all of the above. Austin Beers, Rich Garcia, and Ryan Gabel have entered into the mix here, fighting for position, knowing that there is less than 2 miles to go for this track.
And we saw that.
No.
We saw that happening. Caution is going to come out.
Yep. Kynan just got under the quarter panel there. Sent the 52 around. Fortunately, and that heart rate is sky high right now. 175 is going to bring the caution out. We do have 2 green-white checkered attempts here in this race, and this is going to make for a very interesting finish should anyone opt into going into the pits for a brief set of time, maybe 2 tires if you are brave enough to do so, or if we're just going to ride it out here to go into the end.
52 is smoking out there, killing bugs, but we're going
Not good.
Stay in here and see if he's trying to line up where he needs to be, or maybe he has something he wants to say to somebody. Oh, if he does, it's... everybody's going down pit... Well, pit road is closed?
Flashing red lights.
Yeah, the lights are flashing.
Yeah.
Oh, because I think everybody has to let the 52 go. Oh, this is perfect for Kynan. He's going to be able to get fresh tires. Wow, that is massive for Kynan. Everybody had to slow down to let the 52 go by. I think it's flashing because it's close for us since we're spectators. Wow, that worked out in Kynan's favor. Now the question is he going to be able to use that second life? Now we're going to take a look at the replay. The 52 going for the lead. They definitely made contact. The 52 definitely drove it in there deep into the corner to shove the 73 out the way, and he actually did that twice. So Kynan Jones was not too happy about that. I can't say with confidence that the 73 turned him around on purpose, but I can for sure say with confidence that the 73 was not going to lift if he drove it in there a little too deep.
Yeah, that turn of events doesn't surprise us to how that all came to fruition, but watching the traffic have to stop to let the 52 in just gave a huge opportunity there for Kynan Jones to maintain this. Now, the biggest emphasis on that is you look at who's lining up right next to him. That's the 19 of Austin Beers. who has been very confidently moving through traffic and found his way up there into the top 5, was looking for the right way to get to that position to try to pass for the lead with 3 laps to go. But now we find ourselves here looking for a green-white checker with Austin Beer sitting in 2nd place. Take a look at the replay to see how we got to this position after all the cars caution, pit at caution. You see, just drive it right in there. Scarborough tried to shut the door. 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 taps, and that's all she wrote. Scarborough into the wall. That's a hard hit. And of course, as soon as that caution flies, you look at it from Austin Beer's perspective. A soft little 1, 2, 3, eventually, and it just went all the way around.
I think everybody who was in the top 5 that was within that battle for the lead, they all kind of knew what could have potentially happened there in that corner. All right, who else do? Oh, let's see if I can find the lap before, or I should say a little bit earlier. Here we go. Is this it? Okay, here we go. This is yeah. This is kind of what got Kynan in that mood of I'm not going to lift going into that corner.
Yeah, 52 drives it in, and a couple of times
this next time
in the same instance. In the same instance, you're looking at the brief contact being made, and watch him just drive it in again. And I remember at least using some of the door panels up there. He's going to drive it in here. Does slide up the track a little bit here, tries to get the air off of him, does push him off, and eventually they will end up side by side, and yeah, a little bit of contact. And I'm sure none of that made Kynan very happy as to the way that Scarborough was trying to take that position away.
I apologize, I went for it. These things don't really get noted too much. Okay, hold on, I have it right here. I apologize for this, guys.
Minor incidentals. Watch him drive it in, yeah, side to side, and then just tried 2 cars trying to fill up the same lane, just come into contact with the doors and coming out of the corner one at a time. Just drive them up there, try to get into the doors once more, and yeah, that's enough. Just trying to virtually bowl your way out. Kind of does give a little tap coming out of that one, it looks like, but again, as you mentioned, he's in a position where he's got the speed going in the corner. He's not going to lift if he doesn't have to, so not too surprised with the way that transpires, but the way that we're looking for the end of the race to transpire, a green-white checker coming around with Kynan Jones, who's been in control for most, if not all, of the second half. Austin Beers on his inside lane right there, followed up by Ty McIntosh, as the pace truck will dip off as we attempt our first green-white checker here at Iowa Speedway. The Binx Designs 114 coming to a close. Kynan gets a huge leap off of this one. Ryan Gavel does dip to the bottom line here after a slow start. The cars in front of him now has some ground to make up with 2 laps to go. See if Kynan can hold off.
Oh, wrecking around!
Hard charger. We got to spin around. That is Kyle Carson, who's going to be around. Adam Peeler is going to get collected in that one as well.
That car is killed.
That'll
Both of those cars are.
Yeah, another caution that comes out. So we'll get another try at a green-white checker. That'll be our second and final attempt. We'll see what happened there in the middle of traffic. Of course, everybody understanding a very quick green-white checker. We'll check the replay, see exactly what happened to the 18 that sent him around. See him on the high side there.
Oh!
Goody on this and just completely lost it. Lost all the grip, lost all the traction. Went around.
Too much beans.
Yep. A little spice. A little too spicy on there. Tried to counter steer it. At least made the attempt of it. But of course, at that point, you're 3-4 wide. Peeler just had nowhere to go. Had to drive right into that one. Not quite the restart they were looking for. And we'll have to line them up and do it again.
I believe we have a driver in the infield carriage center. I don't know if you want to bring him up, Trevor.
Sure. We'll bring him up. If he's ready.
He should be.
Do I have the power to do that?
Oh, well, here you go. There you go, Trevor.
We are now joined with the 52, Jake Scarborough, who has been up at the front racing very heavily for the front of this race in the second half. Just talk real quick. What happened up there at the front between you and Kynan Jones?
I mean, he was racing aggressive as is. We saw it about 10 laps prior, 20 laps prior, whatever, when Ty got up to him. And, you know, I get up to him. I made a little bit of contact by accident, and that's when both of us had to save our stuff. And next time I get under him, he starts trying to push me lower. So, you know, I'm not going to take that. Why? I made it clear how I'm driving into the corner. I did it cleanly. He didn't want to race that way. And surely enough, he's the type of guy to go in and dump me immediately after I clear him. So, you know.
A little incidental contact there, little doors coming around. You know, good racing at least up there with that 1-2. We saw you on the back bumper of Kynan for a very long time. Were you just biding your time, waiting for the right opportunity with enough laps to go?
Well, he obviously used up his stuff quite a bit. He kept slamming the wall out of 4, it seems. So there's that. I was honestly just waiting for him to put it in the wall again and see if I could make a pass, or just wait till later in the race like I ended up doing. But surely enough, that didn't matter anyways.
Well, an unfortunate finish to what looked like had a really good car for you. Any shout outs or anything you want to say here before we let you go?
Shout outs to the guys over at Shift, you know, always having my back and trying to help me out tonight, telling me all the details I needed to know on how to drive the thing. That's the only reason why I was up there in the end. Sorry to Pam and Bernie, because that's the whole reason I've been running this scheme I have been the past few weeks. And, you know, it sucks that I had a shot to win with the right scheme, and that doesn't get to happen. So.
Unfortunate finish there for 52. Jake Scarborough had a good car running, real strong there for a long time, but unfortunately we'll have to call this one not in the position of that he was hoping to get out of this. But we come around looking for one more green-white checker as Kynan Jones and Austin Beers side by side one more time. Ryan Gavel tried to get himself back up into the mix as well. Did not have the restart he wanted on that first attempt. The second attempt and our final attempt here to conclude our Binx Designs 114. A little free racing for everybody, all parties involved. As we hit the green flag, we're going to be looking for who will be leading us across to the checkered, as Austin Beers immediately will dive low. Got a great restart this time around, and will make the pass to hold
kind of in the wall.
Here already.
Caution is out.
Ty McIntosh is around, and another caution is gone, and that is going to be virtually all she wrote. Unfortunate out of that one, the way that went. Austin Beers will cross the line and be in that first place. So the bounce back that Austin Beers needed after that first half, we'll see exactly what happened there to send us to another caution one more time. But that's great restart there from 19 to Austin Beers to get himself into a position that he needed to be in.
Well, Austin Beers, we saw it throughout this whole second half, drove it in and went to the front as quickly as he could, significantly quicker than Ryan Gavel, who looks like he's going to be finishing tonight's race in second half in 6th place. So we're gonna be talking to your half 1 winner, your half 2 winner, and I kind of want to hear. We heard from the 52 of Jay Scarborough. I kind of want to hear from Kynan Jones, his point of view, but we'll do that after we interview your first half and second half winners. As 19 of Austin Beers has crossed our finish line. The race is over. As Cameron Winch has said, it's Jover. And now we're going to go see both of these drivers go celebrate their half victories. As I got to say, these drivers put on a fantastic show tonight. The one phenomenal driving by both of these drivers in half number 1, and 19 just really showing that, in order to be there. Oh, man. Oh, no.
Hey, he had a good drift going around for the first half of that one. Just unfortunately lost it coming out of that corner. I mean, you mentioned it, though. These guys put on a clinic here. Watching how fast they were in the first half, they just drove away from everybody. Put 3-4 seconds on very quickly between them and the rest of the pack. This time around, Austin Beers was able to get it in the second half. Did not have Ryan Gavel to worry about, who took his time to get up there to the front of the pack in this second half. Got to that top 5. But then it was just a matter of incidentals from everybody else in front of him. Never could keep that run going to get up to the top 4, top 3, and be potentially battling for the second half win as well, looking for the sweep. Instead, it's the 19 of Austin Beers, our current points leader, who will be walking away with the half 2 checkered flag as well. As you mentioned, we'll be interviewing the likes of those two. Plus, get some little digging going on in here. We'll take a look at the finished results here from the second half. Austin Beers, of course, walking away with that one. Rich Garcia in the second place. Klein Jones ends up in third. James Watson in fourth. Ray Bracey drops to fifth. Ryan Gabble ends up in sixth as well after his first half win. David Westergreen in seventh. Thomas Capuano in eighth. James Miller, the pole sitter for tonight's event, in ninth. Tristan Millette ends up in 10th. Robert Hill Jr. overcomes some early incidents to finish 11th in this one. Dylan Thomas in 12th. Mr. Goody there in 13th. Neil Rutt in his 6'6 machine there in 14th. Dave Carpenter 15th. Roberto Javier Gomera in 16th. Rashid Coles there in 17th. The double zeros of Caden Tufts in 18th. The Me Fine machine is Zach Evans in number 19. Tim Conrad there in 20th. Carlson, after being collected in an incident as well, into 21st with Matt Hackathorn in 22nd. Ty McIntosh gets spun around there, ends up in 23rd. Adam Peeler, Jake Scarborough, Jordan Tarble, and Vincent Isabella, those two not quite participating in this one due to internet, the other one due to life. But unfortunate incident there for Jake Scarborough, who doesn't get the finish that he felt like he probably deserved. But a good race all the same.
All right, and that does it for tonight's half number 2 recap. Let's go ahead and bring in your half number 1 winner. As Trevor, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Well, we are joined by the number 1 winner of the number 1, Ryan Gabble here, who made up some points out of last week there to close the gap between first and second in the championship overall. A commanding run you had there in the first half. You and Austin Beers back and forth there for the entire time, and you end up with the checkered flag there in the first one. Talk me through that battle, because you guys battling it out there with the rest of the field far in the distance. How was it with you two trading positions so frequently?
Yeah, that was an absolute blast. That whole battle was just awesome. That was some of the most fun I've had, and it was just, slide job city, crossing over, blocking the bottom, blocking the top, just doing everything. And yeah, it was, me and Beers were just talking about it, catching up on that first race, how it was just mind games, how, is he going to slide? Is he going to slide all the way up? Is he going to run the top? Is he going to run the bottom? Is he going to park it on the bottom? It was awesome. It was an absolute blast, and whether I finished first or second, I wasn't going to care. It was just that much fun, and yeah, I had an absolute joy that first race. Glad I got the win. Yeah, second half didn't go necessarily the plan. I was a little slow getting through traffic trying to save my stuff, and I thought it would cost me, but then we went all the way to the almost end of the race, and I drove all the way up to the top 5, and that caution came out with the leaders there, and I missed a memo on 2 tires. I don't know. I got all discombobulated and didn't even think about taking 2, which was a mistake on my end. That cost me a couple spots, maybe a shot at the win, but who knows how it would have gone if I took 2, if there would have been cautions or what. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll take it. Yeah, still, I think 6 is my worst run through the playoffs so far, so being definitely very consistent, and glad I got the win there to start it.
Yeah, 6th place is your worst finish. I think there's more things that you have to concern yourself with other than finishing strong. You had a good run there in that second half, though. You mentioned the slow move through traffic, trying to save your stuff. Was it so much as you were trying to save more, or was it the fact that you were just having so many problems getting by cars going 2, 3, trying to go 4 wide in those corners?
I mean, it was a little bit of both. At the very start of the run, I was thinking save, save, save. I kind of let Beers get by me, hung out behind a couple of guys at the back of the field, sort of on purpose, not pushing the issue, while Beers, I saw him, he was like 8, 10 cars in front of me at one point, and I was like, oh, gee, I gotta get going here and get back up to him. And then I picked it up, and I really pushed from probably lap 15, 20 all the way to the end of the race, was basically pushing 100%. And I don't know if it was really the fact that I saved for the first 10, 15 laps or what, or if they just pushed that much harder than me, because I was faster than the rest of the field there with 10, 15 to go all the way to the end. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Saving might have had something to do with it, but it could have naturally happened with just the traffic I was in. So, either way, it helped out. If it went green to the end, I mean, I probably would have finished 4th, 5th, depending on how everything shook out, because they were racing so hard for the lead. If they didn't actually wreck, I don't know how crazy it would have gotten, but I might have had a shot at a better finish, but I was at least 5th if there was no yellow. But it is what it is. it's still a decent finish, so we'll take it.
Yeah, solid finish all around. Talk me through that one as you're saved your way up to that top 5. We saw you like 0.7, 0.8 seconds behind. You had a few car lengths between you and 4th place as you were sitting there in 5th, watching the likes of Kynan Jones, Jake Scarborough, Austin Beers up there, just kind of watching them move and shift positions with 5 to go. With 3 to go, the passes start to happen, and you close it up to half a second, and you're on the back bumper. Was that the point where you were ready to go at that before the caution dropped? Were you trying to find your lane to make the move right there?
Yeah, I was, and it was tough because right when I got to Richard Garcia there, it was a tough pass. I think I got under him once or twice, but never even close to good enough to make a real move on him. And then I kind of got behind him, and I was trying to run the top to sneak to his outside because I thought that'd be the best way to do it. He was running a little bit off the top, but couldn't make that work. And the 1 or 2 times I tried that, and then the next time around, I think is when the yellow came out, when they wrecked up in front with the leaders. So I don't know. It was so hard to pass, and there really wasn't enough time left. I wouldn't have gotten to the very front unless they all decided to wreck on the last lap or something. But on pure speed, I think Jake probably had the race won. Unfortunately, he got turned there, but at least maybe Kynan would have had a shot at him. But it's unfortunate how that all ended there. But I think Jake probably had it won. There wasn't enough time left, and if I had any tire left, I didn't have the track position. And Beers and Garcia were burnt up pretty bad, and so was Kynan. I think Jake probably had the race won, but maybe I could have got another spot or 2 out of it, but came out with 6th anyway, so not a huge loss if that had stayed green versus what actually ended up happening. So yeah.
Well, appreciate your time and a damn good race that you put on there from both halves, and looking for yourself to continue to advance into a championship position next week with the series and season conclusion. Any shout outs you want to give, anything you're looking forward to as we close out the 2024 A season?
Yeah, definitely shout out after tonight. I mean, Austin Beers, me and him raced so good tonight. It's been an awesome season racing with him. You might have to ask him to confirm, but unfortunately it sounds like he's missing next week's race. So hate that, because we were really going at it in the points and everything, and it's real close. He's probably got me by a pretty good gap going into next week if we were actually still in it, but he probably would have had me. He got the best of me a lot this year. I got him a couple times, which I'm proud of, but we had some really good battles, and tonight was a prime example of that. Of course, shout out to all the shift guys. Good teammates tonight. Had some good runs going. I don't think anything really came out of it. Unfortunately, that second half, all 3 of us were in the top 6-7 cars at the end, but it is what it is. You guys put on a stellar broadcast as usual, and thanks to Vic for running everything and all the competitors tonight. That was pretty solid race. So yeah, hopefully I'll be back up here after next week.
No complaints all around. Of course, Ryan Gabble looking for another solid performance to conclude the 2024 A season. Sitting on the outside looking in right now, the championship points, but trying to take away that top spot. Congratulations once again to our first half winner, Ryan Gabble. Now we have to move it forward to the second half, where we'll talk about exactly what we just heard. Mr. Austin Beers, allegedly, maybe not here, potentially looking for a way to cinch a championship this week. But after looking so good through that first half, back and forth, we had such a great competition across the entire race. We are joined now with our half 2 winner, Austin Beers, who was half a car length, could potentially be a full sweep here at Iowa Speedway. Austin Beers, after that first half, what's your mentality going into the half number 2? Because it seemed like from the green flag, you were bound and determined to get to the front as soon as possible.
Yeah, I was kind of just trying to create a gap between me and Gabble there. That was such a fun battle. Congrats to him on that win. That was really cool to race as hard as we did without contact, and he's one of the guys that you could do that with on a weekly basis. So that was really cool. But I was pretty determined to get to the front early, get the track position, and kind of get a yellow, but never really got one until late. And then got our 2 tires. I figured a lot of people would, so with it being a green white checker, just get the 2 tires and hope for the best. And then the first restart kind of had a really good restart, got a car length or 2 out, and I had to defend from Garcia back there, and the yellow came out. And then the second restart I timed it really well and was able to just clear him off of 2, and then that was it. So definitely a really good points night for us. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it next week, so I think that'll put Gavel into the championship front-running position because I'll be going to New Hampshire to race. So, gonna look for someone to hopefully bring the owners championship home in the 19 car, but and then I'll be ready for 2024B.
Plenty of time to get yourself ready and prepared for that one, but you've had a stellar 2024A. Find yourself there in that first position as it stands for the championship points. Of course, you mentioned good points night for you tonight. The battle that you had in the first half, first, second, you know, taking out a couple of top 2 finishes. I don't think anybody would ever complain about that. Talk about those restarts. The first one, a little bit slower. You mentioned you had to defend against Garcia. The second one, by and large, was significantly better. But watching you from your perspective, while we're still under green flag racing, watching 73 and the 52 just kind of back and forth, side by side, battling it out, were you just kind of waiting for them to make a mistake, or were you trying to stay clear to save your car in case anything did happen?
I was just, just keeping a close eye on them, trying not to kill my stuff as much as I did, getting through the field early there. I kind of used my stuff up. Gavel and Garcia took a really good approach of just slowly making their way through the field. I don't know where Garcia started, but, as I said, I tried to distance myself from Gavel, and he still kind of caught up to me later in the end of that run. And then I was just watching how the 52 got by the 73, and I knew something was going to come back. And when they wrecked, fortunately for me, the 52 went up the track, and I was able to avoid them. But just keeping a close eye on it, keeping a little bit of a safe distance while trying to maintain, the gap between the cars behind me and the cars in front of me. Just waiting for something to happen.
Well, good performance either way. As mentioned, a couple of top 2 finishes here for both halves of Iowa Speedway to conclude, apparently and unfortunately, your season here in 2024A for the OSCA Series. Looking back, we'll take it big picture, overarching for the start of the season to where you are now. What really stuck out most to you in your experience here going through week by week and inevitably to put yourself in this spot?
Just, it was really cool to see how competitive and clean the league turned out to be. I haven't been back here in a while, and just a lot of respect from my fellow drivers now that I smartened up and started to race them clean now. And but it was just a blast all year. The schedule was really good this year. Unfortunately, I hate the road courses, but you got to sprinkle those in, I guess, for Vic. And they put on some good shows. But no, I just had a blast this year. I was thankful to come back and have the year we had. I think we had like 6-7 wins or something, catching up to Indelicata for the most all time. That's really the goal. But, hopefully when we go to 2024B here in a month or two or whenever it is, I haven't even looked, we can, run the full series and then finally bring home the Drivers' Championship. I've been trying to do that for a while now, and I've been close, but I've never ran a full season. I've always missed too many with my real life commitments and stuff like that. So just see where my racing schedule for real life shapes out with how the 2024B is, and hopefully we can pick up some wins.
I look forward to see your participation there in 2024B. Of course, huge congratulations to you for the successes you've had here in the first half of 2024. Do you have any shout outs, anything you want to say in closing remarks?
So I'd like to thank Hacks Discord, Black Flag Podcast, Troy Race Cars, The Joy of Seating, Do Good Motorsports. What a great, I kind of started with these guys back when I first got on iRacing, so it's really cool to come back and race with them, and Goody and Dusty and Dave, and then we had Tom and Hackathorn in there, and obviously Neil for, kind of being my car owner this year, and then Tom from Fenceline Film, shout out to him. Shout out to you guys for putting on a great broadcast every week. I love going back and watching when I'm bored and stuff. And shout out to Vic for putting up with us idiots every week. It's a blast running this league, and it's progressed so much. So I'm very thankful to be a part of this league and have the success we've had.
Before you go, I have something for you. So
Boy.
I know you're not going to be here next week, which sucks. But I do want to thank you for competing all season long, not being a menace like you have in the past, like that. I appreciate more than you know. Just thank you for everything. You've had a great season, and obviously, if you were going to be here next week, we all know you'd win the championship. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for that, and good luck in New Hampshire, dude.
Thank you. Thanks for everything you do, Vic. You put on a great show for us, and I think it goes unnoted by most, but you do a really great job, so thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
About to start crying in the club right now, and I don't know why. Austin Beers, a half 2 winner, and currently standing in #1 for the overall championship points, but as mentioned, will not be joining us next week, unfortunately. Again, we talked about it earlier on in the race, having real life things and adult responsibilities and all that nonsense. I don't know, we'll do away with that eventually for 2024B, but a half 2 winner and feeling pretty good going into 2024B. Austin Beers, thank you so much for joining us as we will continue to wrap up here our coverage at Iowa Speedway. We have at least one more thing to cover. We heard from the other half of the 52, Jake Scarborough, talking about the incident here after a long running in the second half up front virtually the entire time. The 73 of Kynan Jones. We are now joined by the legend, the heart rate monitor, the made outfit himself. Kynan, talk us through that second half, especially you being in control for most of the entire race. Talk about the deterioration of the last 10 laps and how that came to be.
So from the drop of the green flag, I knew track position was going to be important, and with me having such a terrible first half, I knew I was in a good position where if I just manage my tires, then I can have a better shot towards the end of the race. But what I didn't expect, was Bracy and Robert Hill to be fighting me quite as hard as they were. It was all clean, so it was good fun. But that was helping burning off my tires, and then I had the next onslaught from Jake, Beers, and Ty come up behind me, and my tires were still starting to deteriorate. I was then having to manage a little, but then I heard over the radio about 5-6 laps to go that Robert accidentally said on the wrong tunnel that he had 2 laps of fuel to the good, which then I checked my notice. I wasn't actually to the good. I was half a lap down, so then I was clutching in during the corners, but thankfully I'd saved enough tire to have to, or be able to use some of it towards the end, which I was then doing to make up for the clutching in the middle of the corner, which then, because of that, it helped Jake pull himself closer to me, which then he's run into me on the back stretch a couple of times, then going into free where he got into me, which pushed me up the track a little bit, which then I am able to carry enough momentum to clear myself on the front stretch, which then I left him the inside, thinking that he was going to keep it all under control, which then he doored me, which then he was able to get past me during that, and then at that rate, I found out how he wanted to race, so I just raced him how he was racing me, but this time instead of leaving a lane open so then there was sufficient racing room, he came all the way down to the yellow line, which then I'm not out of control. I've been able to arrest enough speed to keep it all under control, and he's just not been able to carry as much middle apex speed, and we just made a bit of contact and it just sent him up into the wall.
Yeah, unfortunate positioning there out of that. Now, we thought about the way the fuel was. We figured everybody would be all the way good from start to finish, but hearing that you actually had to save a little bit, but were still able to maintain your position and hold on to first place for a majority of that one. What was it like? Because we didn't see, I guess, that level of domination for a single driver holding the lead. Like we saw in the first half, it was being traded off back and forth. But for you being able to be that front runner for a solid majority of the second half, what's your mentality going into the last few laps, knowing that you have 5-6 drivers that are on the hunt, on the prowl, really looking for their angle to take that out of you? We saw a little bit of contact with you on the outside wall. Was there anything of you checking the rear view a little bit too much, or what was it for you to try to hold on to the lead all the way through the end?
Well, I was definitely under pressure, and Iowa has always been a good track for me. It's where I got my first oval win, and then I've won in IndyCar, trucks, and even looking back to the last time OSCA was here, once I got that clean air, I went from being about 18th in the first half to being a front runner. I just didn't have the experience to know how to manage my tires and make a long run happen, but I was watching the mirror more than not, just knowing where the cars behind were wanting to go and what lane they were thinking of going to. If I see them peaking a little bit higher in turn 3, then I know to run a little bit higher to then try put a bit of air on their front nose to make them wash out a little bit. If I see they're going to try commit to the low line, then I'll position my car more onto the low to middle of the track, try to take some of that clean air away from them. But I was watching the mirror more than I was looking out in front, just trying to gain as much knowledge on where the cars who were trying to get past me were thinking of going. Plus, with me being absolutely murdered in the first half, which I don't really put a blame on a certain driver, Matt had really no time to check up for a pillar, and then Bracey couldn't really see much, so that was more of a racing thing. But it meant that I got that clean air and was able to manage a little bit, but towards the end, it got a lot more stressful. And yes, I made a couple of mistakes, but it didn't really destroy the car. It more so just made me lose a couple of MPH on the stretches, which can make a bit of a difference, but for the most part, it didn't make too big of a issue. The bigger issues were coming with the restarts.
Yeah, tough restarts there. I mean, you had a good one there towards the end, but the Austin Beers really cleared on that second one and inevitably just ran away with that one. But very unfortunate that first half incident, considering you were my pick to do pretty well. And that's now twice that I've picked you, and I think you've wrecked out early. So I'm a little disappointed in that performance. But hey, you know what? We take those every once in a while. I didn't have a chance to do anything anyways in the Commentators Championship. So no harm, no foul. Not worried about it. Carlos, did you want to say anything in mention of the heart rate monitor? Nothing? Or did you want to
go to a doctor.
Wait, how high did you see it?
I think
175, I think, was the highest I saw it.
There was one time, because we got to start wrapping it up. There was one time where you were earlier in half two when you were leading under caution. I want to get a baseline. It was like 120, and you guys crossed our finish line. It was like 2 to green, and then all of a sudden Vic shortened the caution period. It was 1 to green. You guys were doubling file, and your heart rate jumped up 10, 15 beats per minute. And I was telling him, it's like, Kynan had no plan on how to approach the restart, because he still thought he had some time before the 1 to green, and then he got the 1 to green, and it's like, oh no, I gotta come up with something, because after a couple seconds it went back down to 120.
Oh, you would think that, but actually I had a plan going into that restart. I did take 2 tires, and so did a lot of people, including Beers, so I knew the restart was going to be important, but I knew in the first one I was going to go late. The second one, I didn't really know what my plan of action was going to be there, but surprisingly calm for the end of the race. Like, I didn't win, but that's how racing goes sometimes.
This was like early in the race. This was not like the last 2 restarts I was talking about. But yeah, all right. Well, before we let you go, Kynan, do you have any shout-outs you want to give out?
Weekend Woodsmen and Tim Conrad for bringing me into the team last season. Even though didn't get the win tonight, we got a win earlier in the season and the podium at Knoxville in this design, funnily enough. But everyone in the broadcast team, even Kerry, who sadly isn't here for this next couple of weeks, but thank you, Carlos, for dealing with us for as many years as you have and putting on this fabulous show. Trevor, for being here to commentate tonight. Tepe and Vic for being in race control. Thankfully, had a bit more of a calmer race than we did last time we went to Iowa. And everyone at home for watching tonight. Hopefully we can see you for the season finale next week at Legacy Atlanta.
Legacy Atlanta.
Taking the words right out of my mouth. Thank you so much for joining us here, Kynan, and damn good racing there in the second half. Of course, as you mentioned right there, next week is the season finale of the OSCA Series 2024A going to Atlanta. Be sure to join us right here on the 3Y TV channel. My name's Trevor McNeil, alongside me, Carlos Acosta and Vic Bloom. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week.